Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Got a new Cardfight Vanguard video for you guys today, and today we're going to be taking another look at Razel. So, if you guys haven't seen my last couple of videos, have been looking at some decks in the meta from a more competitive standpoint, giving more strats on the deck about better ways to play the deck, better ways to play against the deck, and what their best and worst matchups are, their strengths and weaknesses. Basically taking a deeper dive into the decks as a way to prep for Springfest for me, which is this weekend. The last one we're doing is Rezael, which is a pretty fan favorite deck, considering it's the Keter Sanctuary Divine skill deck. And this deck has some interesting things going for it. So if you guys enjoy this kind of content, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Let's jump in and get started. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about, this is my deck build. This is not the only deck build you can go with Razel. We're going to jump right into the strengths. First strength right away is there is some flexibility in the deck. You can actually change up the deck many ways. Like, you don't need to run Sages. I like Sages. There's another grade 3 that's really good that a buddy of mine uses as a finisher. This one. A buddy of mine plays this as a finisher, and he combines it with his Razel's Divine skill to get basically 5 drive checks in one turn. Another solid option. You don't need to run this grade 1. I run it because there's so many multi-attacks in the game right now, so 5 attacks is always possible. So having an automatic PG is just dope. You can run different ride lines. Like, there's definitely some flexibility in this deck. As far as how you play the deck has a lot of versatility. You've got great rear guards, great draw power. You can always build a board from damn near and nothing. This gets you a dude. This gets you a dude. Rezael calls out 2 dudes. Like, there's a lot of really cool ways to play the deck. It's already got inherent counter charge with Aerial Sage. So, like, besides the fact that the deck doesn't really have any soul charge, there's not really a whole lot of cards that soul blast in the deck. The only ones that soul blast in the deck are Nobia and Rezael himself, and Razel's only ever going to soul blast once per game, so it's really easy to deal with managing your resources. It is a 4 to 5 attack deck. The later the game goes, the more attacks you can get, topping out at 5 full power attacks. The deck has a really strong early game, a decent mid game. It's a little bit weaker in the late game, but we'll get to that in a minute. Selgaon's broken. You can abuse this card basically every turn because of the way Rezael works, where you get to basically, after it boosts, you check top 2, add 1 to hand, bottom deck the other one. So plus engines, resource management, you know, the build a board. Like, there's so many different ways to just keep your advantage and keep gaining advantage all the way from turn 1 straight through till the end of the game. As far as weaknesses of the deck, first one is the overall power of the deck. Besides, you know, Tithfault and Nobia, nothing else really gains that much power. I guess Selgaon can still gain 5k, but you don't really hit super big numbers, and your only real pressure turns that are really going to force your opponent to drop a lot of guard are your Persona Ride turns. If you can't Persona Ride, this deck kind of falls off a lot. And once you run out of Persona Rides, your offense is pretty much killed. Like, sure, you can get multi-attack, but when they're 1 card guards, it's really hard to close out games. Another weakness of the deck is actually Razel's Divine skill. Sending all your crits back to deck is cool, and getting triple drive for 1 turn. Sure, it's got the miracle skill, but compared to all the other Divine skills, this is probably one of the weaker ones. Like, Chris Reigns can close out games. Vargas definitely close out games, and the setup that Welstras give you is just so damn strong that compared to those 3, this is probably the weakest that's out in the game right now. So that kind of brings the deck down a little bit too. Also, with that Divine skill, timing is like really crucial, because when you use the Divine skill is really hard to gauge sometimes. You use it too early, you only get to send a couple triggers back. You use it too late, and you die before you get the chance to use it. So that makes it kind of a skill check on knowing your timing. And lastly, just like the Vanguard Drag Rest deck, Razel is pretty similar all across the board. Like, sure, you can put in different techs, but the game plan never really changes. So once you've seen one Razel deck play, you've pretty much seen them all. You might get surprised by one or two techs, but it's basically going to be, you know, swing rearguard column, swing Vanguard, call out another rearguard column, usually call out a Salgaon, swing with the other rearguards. Or if it's in the late game, just swing both rearguards, swing Rezael to get 2 extra attacks. But it doesn't really deviate from that at all. It doesn't really have much flexibility in that game plan. Like, as far as the early game goes and what rearguards you can use, that's flexible. But as far as Razel's game plan as a whole, nothing really changes. So that can get kind of annoying with the deck because everybody basically knows what you're going for. As far as strats for the deck, you abusing Salgaon is, you know, the most obvious one. You do play orders. This is a great way to just call out dudes. You're going to draw 2 cards and just call out 2 dudes that are the same grade as your Vanguard or lower, which turns on Salgaon even if you play against, you know, a full board. Really good in every situation. You're usually going to have more rearguards than your opponent, and even if you don't, playing an order will still trigger its effect, so you'll still get it off easy. You have cards like Biscotti, Sages, and I know there's some other ones in Keter Sanctuary that help you stack the deck, so you can actually filter through to get through to your triggers or to set up for your defensive triggers to be able to use Rezael's Divine Skill manually. It gets stronger, way stronger in set 2, but it's still an option here now. Because of the way Rezael's Divine Skill works, it also promotes early guarding. So if you end up with a bunch of criticals in hand, you can start guarding early and then send them back, because Rezael's skill, the one good thing about it is it doesn't have any restrictions besides being on Razel, so you can use it as soon as you ride him, whether it be early game, mid game, late game. You can use this thing whenever you want to send all your crits back to deck. So if you end up with a handful of crits and you guard a bunch of shit super early, you could send, you know, 3, 4, 5 crits back to deck. So on the bright side, there is that. Another strength of this deck is kind of inherent strength from Keter. Keter has great orders. You don't necessarily have to run Wisdom of Beginning, though it is a really, really good option. There are a bunch of other orders you can play to kind of get the deck to play the way you want it to. So there's, again, another part of that flexibility. As far as strats to play against the deck, this was a little bit harder for me to figure out, as I am not the hugest fan of Razel. So I actually talked to a friend of mine who mains Rezael, and he gave me some insight on it. So one of the biggest problems Rezael has is rushdown. If you can rush them down before they can really start to get going, start to develop their pluses, it makes it really hard for them to maintain and gain advantage. Damage control, not just for, you know, like counterblast, because they do have their own counter charge, though they have to discard a card to use that counter charge, so sometimes that really does matter. It's also the fact that in order to max out on Razel, they want to be on high damage because of the way Razel's skill works. For anybody that doesn't know, it's a counterblast 1 on attack to call 2 units with different grades, but their grades can't exceed your damage. So if you have 3 damage, you can call a grade 2 and a grade 1, or a grade 3 and a grade 0, like that. To maximize their power, they kind of want to get to 5 damage, so they can call a grade 3 and a grade 2, which gives them the biggest 5 attacks they can get. So if you can manage their damage, so they always have to call kind of weird numbers, you can stop them from getting the 5 attacks properly, because either they're going to hit you with 5 weaker pokes, or they're going to go with 4 full power attacks, which means you actually have to worry about less attacks. So proper damage control of how much you dish out also really affects Razel, which sucks because that means that they're kind of limited based on how the player against them plays. And lastly is proper guarding. What I mean by proper guarding, Razel struggles to hit really good numbers and to deal out damage as it is. If you're, you know, guarding the proper attacks with minimum shield, or like they hit you with a lower attack and that's the one you choose to guard, you're going to burn up less cards while they're struggling more to deal out damage, and it's going to make their lives a whole lot harder. As I did in the last video with Welstra, I'm going to run through some basic game plans for Razel real quick, just to give you guys a nice example of how it would work. And then we're going to jump into the last section where we're just going to talk about your best and worst matchups. So real quick, we're just going to draw. Now, going first, obviously you don't want to discard the Biscotti. Going second, you would discard the Biscotti. In this situation with this hand, I'm probably going to discard Tethfault. Want to ride, all that stuff, take damage, just run through. Turn 2. This is where we would discard Biscotti, because we would energy charge. We would ride grade 2, draw a card. I really like this ride line, though there are other ride lines you could play. In this case, our grade 1 says we show three different grades. Grade 3, grade 1, grade 2. And then we check top 5 and call a dude. So this is a really strong already early game ride line. So check top 5. In this situation, you have to call a grade 1 or lower, which sucks, because then you would choose not to call anything. So you put all these to the bottom of the deck. But because you didn't call anything, you get to call the grade 1 out. So you still get a dude. You always get a dude. And now we have 2 copies of Selgon. We could use them right now since we're on turn 2. So we're just going to call out that, call out that. I could have done this a little different. Like I could have called the Nobia too, but I'm going to save the Nobia for next turn. And then we're just going to swing. You do your swing, retire, top 2. Selgon's a card you can absolutely abuse. Ooh, we're going to add that to hand. Bomb deck the Nobia. Because I forgot to add the 5k. Because you can always get Selgon back. So do drive check, Selgon, top 2. Like this is what makes ooh, add that to hand. This is what makes the early game for this deck so strong, is literally Selgon. Like it came out right after Razel came out, because actually at the same time, I think it was a box stopper, because of how good it is, and it's going in every Keter Sanctuary deck. So let's say we take 2 damage. Alright, so now we go into our grade 3 turn, and this is just an example of what you can do on your first grade 3 ride. So, draw phase. Oops. Alright, so in this situation, we are going to discard probably Nobia, because we already have 1. I'm gonna ride. I'm not gonna show the 3 grades because we already have the 3 grades. We're gonna do top 5. Look at that, another Selgon. So we'll call that over here. Deck shuffle. We'll call Nobia. Skill. Nobia's top 3, right? Yeah. Well, damn. And Nobia just calls, right? Actually, no, you know what? We will call it, because we'll call it over there. Not the greatest set of calls, but it is what it is. And then the last 2 cards go to the bottom of the deck. Alright, and then we're going to call out another Selgon. So, power plus 5k. Unless our opponent managed to spam out a board, these are live. And even if it was, we could just call out 1 more card. So we're going to go battle phase. We're going to start off with Sages, because we want to be able to stack the deck. So we look at the top card of our deck. I'll put that on the bottom. Oh wait, we're gonna use Selgon anyway. Well, I guess we could dig more with that. So now Selgon's effect goes off. Look at top 2. Damn, that would have been a murderous twin drive. It's alright though, we're gonna add the front trigger to hand. We're gonna bomb deck the crit. We're gonna swing Vanguard, skill. We're gonna call, we have 3 damage, we can call grade 2, grade 1. So we're gonna call, obviously, Selgon to get another card to hand. And we'll call Teth Fault, because she gains power. Well, she only gains power for attacking a grade 3, but at a minimum this will be a 23k row anyway. But you see, obviously having a 13k Vanguard is not nice, because that's a 15k shield for a 2 to pass, even when your opponent at grade 2. So we get our twin drive. We lost it on the triggers because Selgon actually kind of fucked us there, but it is what it is. But then you can just do it again, top 2 again. We'll leave the heal in deck, add this to hand, and then swing, and then 1 more time. Top 2. We'll get the order. Bomb deck the Sages. And as you see, we have a lot of advantage. And then it's literally just the same thing every turn. The only difference being if you're at 5 damage, which I'll show you now. So at 5 damage, it's a little bit different, because and we got a Persona ride here, so Persona ride, main phase. We don't use a whole lot of energy, so I'm gonna energy blast 7 to draw a card. And now we're gonna call cards. We're gonna leave our front row where it is. We're going to play this. Counterblast 1, draw 2. We're going to call a grade 1. And we're actually going to call another Nobia. Now, Nobia's skill. Check top 3. Damn it. I was trying to get a booster. I mean, I guess we could call the PG. Or actually, we could do this. We'll call Biscotti. And then Biscotti skill, we can energy blast 3. Check top 3. We'll put the heal on top. Put the heal on top of deck and put the other 2 to the bottom. Now, this is a jank ass setup because we don't have a booster. But watch what we can do. Because now we're going to go swing, skill, soul blast 1. So we're going to soul blast 1. That's why I already added the power to Nobia, so it's 30k. Now we swing Tefalt, she gains her own 10k. Then you swing with the Vanguard, skill. Now you can call over these 2. Call Sages. And you can call Tefalt back out. Well, in this case, I only have 1, so. And then this is going to gain 10k when I swing with it, so I'm just adding the power now. But now we get our Twin Drive, heal trigger. We could pump this up, heal 1. Now, I could have done that, or I could have called the Sages just to get the, or any other grade 2 just to get an extra attack, and I could have called Selgaon. I didn't have to swing with the Nobia unboosted. I could have waited till after Selgaon to get more advantage. But that's just some basic, you know, that's the basic game plan of Rezael. Like I said, Razel's game plan doesn't change too much from there. Besides, like I said, maybe different text could change it up a little bit. As far as the deck's best matchup, this one is a little bit hard for me to believe, but I guess this is coming from my friend's experience, who has more experience with this deck than I do. He says its best matchup is actually Vargadregris, because the deck has so much advantage, as you guys saw with how much I was able to draw, that they can usually outlast Vargra. Even if they get the Divine Skill, they let them blow out all their counterblasts, so that way they can't actually continue to play the game. Usually a lot of Vargadregris players will just go gun-ho on trying to get as many attacks as possible to be able to get to their Divine Skill, and once they get to their Divine Skill, you know, they're pretty much out of steam, because you have to blow out so many counterblasts to use it that they usually can't continue the game. But Rezael can outlast them and continue playing their game with minimal effort. You guys saw how easy the basic turns were. As far as the deck's worst matchup, in my opinion, it's Welstra. I actually said this in my Welstra video, that Rezael was Welstra's best matchup in the current format. Because this deck doesn't like an early rush, which Welstra can do. While this deck usually doesn't care about retiring, the fact that Welstra can retire an entire board as well as all of its minus power, so you have to keep on dumping guard to stay alive, and the fact that it's a multi-attack deck, like, it does so much to burn out advantage that Razel never has the chance to build its advantage, while Welstra just keeps on punching it in the face until they die, literally from the beginning of the game. Welstra's early, mid, and late game are all absolutely bonkers, and unfortunately Razel just can't keep up. Razel doesn't attack hard enough to put Welstra to sleep, but Welstra does attack hard enough to put Razel to sleep. Anyway, guys, that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of content. Again, these were videos to help not only you guys prep, but to help me prep for Springfest this weekend. If you guys want to see me cover more decks like this, you gotta let me know down in the comments, because I was only going to do these 3 because literally I'm heading to Springfest tomorrow at the time of recording this. But if you guys do like it, I will do more decks. I have information on Chris Rain, I have information on Direful Dolls. I can look into any other deck you guys want me to talk about. If you guys want to see me practice live, I won't be streaming this weekend because, you know, I'll be away at Springfest, but I will be streaming next week. I will be playing at least one Vanguard stream. I usually do those around 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so keep an eye out for that. If you guys want to check me out on social media, those links will be down below. That's it from me. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.